Have you ever had to deal with some difficult Airbnb guest? Because it does happen from time to time. Let's talk about it. Whenever you're dealing with a difficult guest, a challenging guest, one of the first things that you want to do is maintain your composure. Yes, every once in a while there will be a bad apple, someone who is on purpose trying to create a challenge, a problem, an obstacle in order to get a partial refund or an entire refund. In my experience, this typically happens when you price your Airbnb too low that you attract the wrong guest. Like, here's what I tell people, right? I tell my students, hey, just like hotels, right? There's always going to be a supply and demand. You want to bring down your pricing, especially when it's short notice, like next week or this week, and you have some vacancy and it's during the week. But the problem is, if you lower your prices lower than the Motel 6 a few miles away, guess what? The Motel 6 people are going to be like, damn, this Airbnb is cheaper than the Motel 6. And you're going to get people there that don't have the best interest of taking care of your property and the neighbors and the neighborhood, right? So every once in a while you might get a bad apple. You want to make sure you don't price your property too low that you attract the wrong guest. In my experience, not always, but in my experience, the more people pay, the less problems you have. The less someone pays, the more demanding, the more challenging they are. So the first thing you want to do is maintain calmness and professionalism. Avoid getting triggered and reacting. You know how when we were in elementary school, you would just be like, you just like start fighting like crazy? Don't be in elementary school, right? Be professional, stay calm, and make sure that no matter what the guests say, you respond in a respectful manner. That is key takeaway number one. Number two, active listening. Allow the guests to explain their side and to fully share what it is that they're experiencing, right? Like if they say something, don't cut them off and respond right away. Just wait and hear them out. Maybe wait 5 minutes before you respond, just to make sure that they are done sharing what they were going to share, and that way they feel heard. Number three is prompt communication. After 5-ish minutes go by, make sure you respond. Try not to wait too long. You want to have, again, prompt communication, no more than 5 minutes. And when you respond, make sure you acknowledge what they said. In other words, don't say, oh, well, no, that's not true, right? Acknowledge, hey, I understand that this is your experience. And a lot of times, part of active listening and being a great communicator as an Airbnb host is sometimes repeating back what they said. So it's like, okay, so if I understand, when you arrived to the property, the water was not hot, you had cold water only, and you couldn't find the remote to the TV, and the refrigerator was unplugged. I don't know, whatever it may be. Am I understanding correctly? And they're going to be like, yep, that's exactly what happened, right? So they feel that you are listening actively, even though this is all through the Airbnb app in messaging. The next part is empathy and understanding. Again, I kind of talked about this earlier, but you want to make sure that the guest feels heard. You don't want to create a combative conversation, because this is one of the unfortunate things, right? The guest is allowed to say pretty much whatever they want as far as a review, as long as they are not being disrespectful or vulgar or making any types of threats. So if the guest says, when I arrived at the property, it was not in the cleanest condition. The property, in fact, smelled kind of weird. It smelled like cigarettes, and Airbnb is not going to come to the property and check to see if it smelled like cigarettes. That's right. Like, they don't have that type of manpower, woman power to send a person to inspect. So they are going based off of whoever has the most amount of proof wins. You want to be neutral and find a solution, which brings me to my next point. Often the solution is giving them a partial refund. Like, let's say they paid for 6 nights. Maybe you give them 1 or 2 nights of a partial refund, like a full refund on 1 or 2 nights, right? Not the 6 nights, just 1 night or 2 nights, or the cleaning fee. Or I've had the situation where this happened a few times before, where they arrived, there was a miscommunication between my staff, and they didn't clean the property. The guests showed up and they're like, hey, the property's not clean. We're tired. We just got here from the airport. This is very unfortunate, and they're really upset. And this could be a big booking. Maybe they pay $3,000 for like 4 or 5 nights, whatever it may be. And often I'll say, hey, we apologize. Here's the solution that I came up with. I'm going to refund you the cleaning fee, and I'm going to send you a $150 credit so that you and your family can go and enjoy lunch on me while we clean the property over the next 2 hours or over the next 90 minutes. And sometimes that works. Offering them some type of compensation. I mean, I would be upset, right? If I just came from the airport and I want to go to sleep, but I arrive to the property and it's not, in a condition for me and my family to be able to go to sleep and lay down and enjoy, I would be upset too. So you want to find a win-win situation. And I feel like it's always best to find a win-win solution between you and the guest directly without having to involve Airbnb. Because if you guys don't come to a solution, then you have to escalate it to the resolution department. And then it could take like up to 3 days for them to respond. And again, it could just become one of those issues where you end up having to give them a partial refund anyway, and they might give you a bad review. So the best solution is find something that makes the guest happy. The next part that is super important is you want to document everything. I recommend that all communication remain in the Airbnb app, because Airbnb will be able to see the communication and see that you guys are actually trying to come to a solution. One of the things that helps in this regard is after your cleaning staff cleans the property, they should take photos. It will literally take 45 seconds for them to go into every living area of the property, inside, outside, take pictures, send them to you on Slack or WhatsApp. And this way, if a guest arrives and says, hey, the property wasn't clean, you have pictures with a timestamp, right? When you received those pictures, it's going to have the dates and the time. And this way, say your cleaner sent you the pictures at 11 a.m., the guest arrived at 3 p.m. and they say, hey, the property's not clean. It's not in the condition we hoped it was, or like the pictures say, but you have something to back up. Now you have documentation to prove that it was clean indeed. So the more documentation you have, the better. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on those notifications. The last part is you want to make sure that you learn from each and every experience. Whatever situation comes up that is a challenge or a complaint on the behalf of the guest, you want to make sure that you fix it so that it never happens again, right? So for example, if the guest showed up and they're like, hey, we couldn't find the remote control. What can you do moving forward so that it's very easy to find the remote control? Can you put a sign somewhere that says, hey, please keep the control here when not in use? Or can you make sure that your cleaning staff finds a control, looks for it and then places it in the same area? Create a checklist, right? You want to create a system so that each and every guest that checks in will have the exact same experience. Maybe you add an air tag. If people keep losing the freaking control, add an air tag. I don't know, right? It could help finding the control. Point is, every time we have had a challenge, a complaint, we create a system, we create a process so that it doesn't happen again. And that's how you make your Airbnb bulletproof over time, where hardly anyone complains because you fix all these things over time. If people keep asking you, how do you turn on the heater for the pool? Guess what? Make a video, upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video. And when it is an unlisted video, only those with the video can actually watch the video or find the video. Maybe it's a 5-minute thorough video explaining exactly how this works. And this way you never have to explain yourself. You're like, oh, here's the video. In fact, you can add the video link to the copy and paste check-in message that your assistant or your property manager can send to each and every guest. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button and check out one of my other videos here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.